Good morning again. So I've been thinking about what my message ought to be today. I've been thinking about what Easter is supposed to mean to me, to all of us. To believe that Jesus was unjustly arrested and tried and crucified at the hands of a violent humanity and then raised to life again by God. What does that mean for us today? And I've given it a lot of thought this past week. And the answer that I've come up with today is, maybe oddly, an image, a photo that I took about 2 weeks ago, because sometimes I think that a photo can say more than words alone can. I think that a photo can reveal a deep truth. And so I have a photo for you all today. Can you tell what it is? Take a moment. Yeah. What do you think it is? It is. So I took this photo at a local Worthington park about 2 weeks ago, and it's a tree whose root has found a way to grow and to adapt through a brick walkway. And it's on the cover of the bulletin too. So my wife pointed this out to me, this image, and I had to take a photo of it, and I thought, there has to be a sermon in that photo somehow. It was too unique. It was too, yet common but beautiful. And my wife and I both found ourselves kind of amazed at how this root found a way to adapt and endure an obstacle. And so I've been thinking about that in light of Easter. And I think it's beautiful how the most common things can reveal a deep, godly truth to us in life. I've been thinking about how the message of Easter is meant to speak to us still today. I've been thinking about how Jesus dying and then rising again to new life isn't simply a message about overcoming the odds or even a message about hope. It's a message about not being defined by the inevitables of life. It's a message about believing in the impossible. I think it's too easy in the world that we live in today to be skeptical, to be mistrusting, to be unbelieving. We live in a world of obstacles like this brick walkway. We live in a world where we become defined by being good enough, athletic enough, smart enough, wealthy enough, disciplined enough. We are defined too often by what we do rather than being defined simply as a child of God without any strings attached. But that's not all that defines us. We're also defined in life by the inevitables and the impossibles. Some things just seem impossible for us in life, and some things seem inevitable. But I believe today that the message of Easter is about not accepting the inevitables and not being defined by the impossibles, but to adapt, to find a way to endure the trials and the impossibilities of life, to break through beyond them. Life is like this brick walkway in the photo. Life can be one huge obstacle to navigate, and life can be very difficult to navigate. All of us know that. All of us come here today with hope, but with also some underlying pain, anxiety, grief. So many things in life will try and stop us. So many things in life, like an obstacle, will try to tell us no, that we can't do it, that we're not good enough, that something is impossible for us. So many things will tell us that belief is foolish and that faith is illogical. The tree in this photo and its root found a way. It found a way to adapt, to endure, to thrive, against something that was meant to stop it. And I find that fascinating. And if God can do that with a tree and its root, then think about what God is able to do in our lives. I think that so many people have given up on faith because belief in God doesn't fit within a logical worldview. To believe in an invisible deity doesn't quite make sense. It's illogical, and it becomes easier not to believe. But we gather today to protest the inevitables, to protest the logical, to protest what the world might call impossible. We gather and we choose to believe in something more. This tree was determined to not be defined by an impossibility, and I find that holy and beautiful. The concept of heaven wasn't well known in the times of the Old Testament writings. Heaven was a place where God lived, where God dwelt, and it was thought to be the sky. Heaven wasn't thought of a destination for those when they would die. Death was seen kind of as a finality, the end. So the act of Jesus dying and rising again was truly about believing an impossibility. This was likely why it was so difficult for the disciples to believe in what those two women had told them about Jesus at the tomb, about seeing him raised to life again. This was God doing the impossible, defying logic, defying inevitability. And that's a message for us today too. It's a message about finding a way to endure, to believe, to adapt, to stand, despite impossibilities. Now, when we say that we believe in a God of impossibilities, let me also tell you what we don't mean by that statement. What we don't mean is that we believe in a God who will take away all the elements of a finite world that we live in. We don't mean that God will take away death or those things that we might define as death, like anxiety, pain, loss, betrayal, divorce, illness, terminal diagnoses, violence, hatred, and on and on and on. We don't mean to say that about God. We live in a finite world, a flawed world, a world filled with evil intentions and consequences. And we know this. To say that we believe in a God of impossibilities is to believe that God will stand with us in every dark valley that we face. And God will not only stand with us, God will help us to face it, to endure, to find a way. We can face anything because we don't face it alone. I'm of the belief that what we don't need when facing the trials of life is an easy answer or someone else's opinion or an empty platitude. We can find enough of those on social media. What we need is to know that we're not alone. No matter what we face, no matter how we have failed, we are loved and forgiven, and God is with us. We are not alone. The tomb is empty. God has defied the impossible. Amen.